Good morning, Husker fans, and welcome back to the Husker Big Red YouTube channel. After another crushing loss by the Huskers on Friday night, we're here to discuss the fallout. Yeah, I guess let's just get into it, man. I mean, Nebraska losing again, 31-24 in overtime in a game that they did not trail in the second half. In a game they were more than a touchdown favorite, in a game that, I don't know how they lost the game, frankly. I don't know how they lost the game, and I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. And I know I'm ranting, but like that was an inexcusable loss. There was no excuse to lose that game. And I don't know, man, like talk me off the ledge, but I'm there right now with this program. I'm on the ledge right now.
I predicted 8-4 at the beginning of the season. I'm still sticking to that. There were a lot of concerning things last night, but that was also, Nebraska lost that game, but that was also a very well-coached Illinois team. That was one of the better Illinois teams I've seen in years. So hat tip to them. I get it was frustrating, but I mean, I thought that Illinois did a good job of play calling. I thought they did a much better job than last year in terms of, defense, and they allowed some big plays. But yet they stood firm in what they had to do, and defensively, Nebraska did not. And so as heartbreaking as this loss is, I'm not too worried about it yet. We'll see what they do against Purdue next week. But, I think that was just a good game between a well-coached team and a team that's just still not there yet. I mean, you look at Pat Bryant, and he was one of the guys that I, kind of circled coming into this game, and he made plays. And you look at, Luke Altmaier, and he made plays. I thought, like I said, the play calling was good, particularly on that touchdown throw where they sent Bryant in motion towards the end zone. Stuff like that. Even like, I believe it was the tackle touchdown, the left tackle or the right tackle touchdown. I can't remember. They did a good job of, rolling out and baiting the defense. So, as much as Nebraska's defense was awful, I thought Illinois played a very well executed game, particularly offensively.
Yeah, I just think, I don't know. To me, it just looked like one team was well coached and one team wasn't. I mean, 9-10 penalties, how many sacks? 5-6 sacks. Just crucial mistake. I mean, Ramir Johnson stepping out of bounds before making a catch. I mean, just crucial mistakes over the special teams were god awful. It's so frustrating. And I mean, I'm not saying that, I think that this season's going to be a failure or anything, but last night made me readjust my expectations. Like I don't think this team is winning 9 or 10 games. And I'm frankly, I am worried about getting to 6 wins, because this next game you're playing at Purdue, which is every Big Ten road game is tough. And,
especially and Purdue. Yeah.
You got Rutgers coming in here, which is very similar to Illinois. They're going to run the ball, be tough on defense, have a solid quarterback. So that's going to be very much a similar game. And, after that, you Indiana on the road, and that's not going to be easy. They're rolling. And so, I mean, there was all this 7-0. I mean, we could be going into Columbus 3-4, 4-3, and if that's the case, if you look at that back half of that schedule, because it's Ohio State, USC, UCLA, Iowa, and Wisconsin, like there's not an easy win on the schedule. And I don't know. I mean, did Riley Van Poppel play last night? I'm assuming no.
I didn't hear his name mentioned, and I didn't see him. So,
and see, to me, that's baffling. I did not understand that move, and I'm not saying that's why they lost, but I did not understand that move when Matt Rhule came out and said that this week. I mean, he's the third best defensive tackle on this team. Am I wrong in that? I'm
trying to think. Probably you're probably right on that. Yeah.
So why in God's name? I mean, this last year in this game, who came up with one of the biggest plays?
Riley Van Poppel on that first drive, yeah.
And yesterday, Illinois gashed us for 166 yards. The defensive line looked gassed the entire second half. I haven't seen the snaps. Maybe they changed their mind. I didn't see him in there.
I can find the snaps right now.
And I was watching it obviously on my phone. I didn't get the full,
You're lucky you're watching on your phone, because
I haven't pained myself to the rewatch yet. And
I know people are super pissed at me. So you're lucky to watch.
I wrote that the honeymoon is over for Matt Rhule, and it is. It is over. Like, I'm so sick of hearing that about he needs more time. He needs this and that. No. You've got what you need. You spent all offseason telling me about how this defense is loaded with NFL talent. You've got the 5th oldest offensive line in college football. You've got a veteran tight end. You've got NFL receivers. You've got a future NFL quarterback. So you've got what you need. I am so sick of hearing that Matt Rhule needs more time to fix what's got the mess that Scott Frost left him. No, he does not. It took Jim Harbaugh 1 season to fix what Brady Hoke did. 1 season. And they went from 4 wins.
Come on, that's Michigan versus a terrible Nebraska program. Michigan,
yeah, but same difference, man.
Michigan holds a lot more weight than Nebraska does. Come on.
Yeah, but not that much. Not that much. I mean, that team was in a tough spot, dude. Like they were giving away seats.
Kids today still cared about Michigan. Kids today don't care about Nebraska from 20 years ago and their success. There's a huge difference there.
I don't think there's that huge of a difference, though. I mean, David Braun last year, dude, took a team that was predicted last in the Big Ten and won 7 games. That's all I'm saying. Like, I just don't see why Matt Rhule can't do it. And it's not like it'd be one thing, if last year, like, you looked at it and they were just like getting dominated, right? Yeah. But Michigan was the only game last year when Nebraska really wasn't up to snuff, like talent-wise. Like all those other games, like they couldn't beat Maryland at home. I mean, come on. Michigan State last year. Like, come on. These are games that Nebraska should be winning. We're losing to Illinois at home as a 9-point favorite. Like, come on, man. Like, Luke Altmaier tore us up last night. And I know that Tommy Hill got injured, but with all these how many 1-score losses is it going to take for people to say, like, to stop blaming Scott Frost? Like, how many? 10, 15? Like, how many is my question? Because it's the same thing. Like, I just don't understand why they can't execute, why this team can't execute down the stretch, why they cannot, function on special teams when it matters. And then we get into overtime, first play, false start. It's like, I mean, the same stuff on repeat. And at some point, like, I don't understand why Matt Rhule, like, to some people, is just not helped. They just, like, give him a free pass for all that stuff. And I just don't understand it. Oops, you're on mute there, buddy. There, I got you.
I am on mute. Yeah. Okay. There we go. Probably better than I'm on mute today. But and I see that, and I also get why Matt Rhule gets a free pass because he is still trying to build the program, and I get he has all the talent and this, that, and the other thing. But I mean, even still, there has been improvement from last year to this year, and I still think again.
But where is it outside of Dylan Raiola? Where is that improvement?
Running back room. I would say it's a lot better than what it was last year. I'd say the wide receiver talent's a lot better than what it was last year, and we saw it with Nair and Banks last night. To be truthful, I thought they did a much better job of getting separation. And
if Nair catches the damn ball instead of getting it taken away, we win the game. But yeah, but you're right.
I thought he should have gone up and actually made an effort to get that ball. And truthfully, that was a good play by the Illinois defender too. And what is Kyle say? Okay. For the record, I don't want to burn the program into the ground. I stayed off X for this reason. I mean, people were going nuts. I mean, it is one game.
I mean, I'm not saying I want to burn the program to the ground or that I want. I mean, that's I posted that on Facebook and people are acting like I want Matt Rhule fired. No, I'm not saying that. But I'm just tired of the narrative that, quit blaming Scott Frost for Matt Rhule's problems. Like, these losses have nothing to do with Scott Frost. That's the main point that I'm trying to make here, is that this is on Matt Rhule. There's no, we're in the transfer portal era. Like, this team is good enough to win, and there's just no excuse for not winning that game last night. And the coaching staff dropped the ball. This team was not ready to go. They weren't ready for overtime, and it's just, you come out in the second half. They can't put people away. You come out in the second half. You have a 7-point lead. You get a stop. Can't get the lead to 10 points. You know what I mean? Then you come down. Dylan Raiola puts together a great drive. You let him walk down the field for a touchdown. I mean, it's just time and time again. Like, at some point, he's responsible for the product on the field. That's the main point I'm trying to say. I'm not saying that, he's going to get fired, but the dude needs to start winning though. But my point is, I guess, I'm just tired of, I just don't have faith. I don't have blind faith in this program anymore. Last night was the end of my faith in Matt Rhule. I still, I need him to show me it, because I don't believe it anymore. because last night was a game that you like. If Matt Rhule was an elite head coach, I think Nebraska wins that game. Like if Urban Meyer's the head coach or Jim Harbaugh's our head coach, we don't lose that game. Am I wrong in saying that?
No, but it's hard to kind of come up with that. Well, not come up with that scenario, but it's hard to say what would happen. I do think there are some coordinator positions that need to be looked at, particularly special teams. Ed Foley definitely deserves to be on the hot seat. The special teams, in terms of field goal kicking, hasn't really improved, and the fact that we still can't get a kicker for the last 5 years is mind-boggling. The coverage was decent at times last night. Other times they sprang a leak, but I do think Ed Foley needs to be looked at.
Yeah, for sure. And I like your name, Scott's Tots, and but pump the brakes on what? I'm not saying that Matt Rhule should be fired or that. I don't even think that's a consideration until next year, and they'd have to miss a bowl game this year and next year for that to happen. I don't think that's any scenario possible. I'm just saying the dude just needs to start winning games, and he's 8-8 through 16 games. That's what he is. He's lost six one-score games. That's not great coaching in my opinion, and I think he's done a good job of building the program. But for whatever reason, the in-game coaching has not been great with this staff. And I don't think that that's a crazy thing to say.
Yeah, I agree. I think last year there was a talent deficiency. This year, last night, that was definitely an issue. I honestly, I didn't have a problem with the way Marcus Satterfield called the game, but I do think that we should have ran the football a little bit more. Especially with the way the offensive line was leaking a bit. It looked at times like, especially the rushers coming off the edge even on a play that worked. The rusher coming off the edge, Rhule managed to get the ball off, but, and maybe that was a design play, but, I just thought that the offensive play calling could have been a little bit better. Last night was mystifying. I don't think the officiating helped a lot. I think that Sayer Wright pass interference call was absolutely brutal. That was not a good call at all. But it was just it seemed like Nebraska couldn't get anything going offensively in the second half again, and they did score some points in the second half, but it still remains to be a problem for this team. And Illinois was able to blanket the Nebraska receivers pretty well in terms of the short and intermediate routes, but they did a much better job of adjusting to the Nebraska offense than the Nebraska defense did to the Illinois offense, I thought.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think teams are maybe getting used to the 3-3-5. I don't know if that's, but I mean, again, I don't know. It was disturbing to me that the way that they just ran the ball at will. And that goes back to the Riley Van Poppel thing. That to me, that's a mind-boggling mistake. I just don't understand that. And I just can't imagine in any other world where any other program would take, their third best defensive tackle, which I don't think that's, maybe he's not clearly the third best, but I can't think of anybody else that would play over him. So that tells you something right there. And say, oh, well, we don't want you to play under 10 steps. You're going to be Ty Robinson next year. That's just he needs this year to develop and play. It's defensive line. To me, that's that wreaked a little bit of hubris. And then you come out on Friday night. I mean, do you think Brett Bielema has his third best defensive tackle redshirting? You know what I mean? I don't know. That's just I feel like there's a little bit at Nebraska. They love their own stuff a little bit too much, and I do not understand why.
I mean, if they love their own stuff a little bit too much and they're 3-1, I'll take that right now. I'll take it.
I just think that, I think that they're getting, to me, that's just getting on your high horse a little bit. We've got all these great defensive linemen. We can just, I don't know where Matt Rhule thinks that Nebraska has the luxury of redshirting a kid like Riley Van Poppel, because I don't see it. And I think last night was a good example of why.
Well, I think the initial thought was they would couple him with next year's recruiting class, which is a big gamble. But I agree. I think he should definitely play more. Like we talked about earlier, he came up with that big stop in the final drive against Illinois last year. But I honestly wasn't necessarily, kind of disappointed by the decision due to the fact that that just keeps him in the program longer. But we could have used them last night. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, and I guess, like, sure, yeah, that it is only one loss, Vince. Like, you're totally right. They could come out and like beat Purdue and they could still be 6-1 going into Ohio State. I'm not saying that like, I feel like people are like misreading what I'm saying. Like, I just don't think, like, yeah, they could be fine, but I don't know that they will be fine because I have not seen Matt Rhule deliver. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't have this blind faith that he's gonna, like all my like last night, if like my Kool-Aid, my Nebraska Kool-Aid was in a big balloon, that just popped it. It's gone. I have none. It's over. Okay. Like, this team needs to show me something, because beating Colorado, like, yeah, that was great. Okay. That was great. But even in that game, we should have won by more. And that program's a joke. So, like, I don't really look at that as I think we overreacted to that win. And this, I just, last night, I don't think that Illinois, I mean, I think that they're a solid team, but I think there's a lot of other teams on our schedule that are better than them, and that's what worries me. And there's other teams that, I'm just worried that we're not going to be able to execute down the stretch. And last night didn't alleviate those concerns. I mean, Dylan Raiola was great. I mean, I saw people like saying that, Dylan Raiola was, like, didn't play well enough, and was like, man, without Dylan Raiola, they lose that game by 17. And that's what I'm worried about.
I liked the play of Ramir Johnson last night. I thought he got involved into the game quite a bit, and he continued kind of where he left off from last week. So I like that they continue to get him involved in the passing game a lot, and I'll be interested to see. He's good for those check down throws, those sort of when Raiola can't find anybody open, just dump it to Ramir, and he can rush. He can run for some yards after the catch. So it was good to see him get involved again, and I'm curious to see if he'll continue that role, because that's the perfect role for him.
So, Mike, the problem is Mr. Spokesman Sean Callahan feeding us BS every offseason and kissing every new coach's butt for perks. I mean, not every beat reporter does that, though. Like, you should have seen the stuff that I was reading about Michigan this offseason. Like, and the only thing that they're reporting is what they're hearing. So, yep. Like, I don't know.
That's what they get paid to do.
And yeah, I mean,
that was a weird challenge, because he didn't even he was very clearly in bounds, and I could see in real time where you maybe want to take a risk and see if he was out of bounds, because they were driving at the time. But watching it on replay, and granted, this is very easy for me to say because I watched it at home, like, and saw it slowed down a little bit better. But I didn't like the challenge initially.
Yeah, I didn't love the challenge. I didn't love the timeouts at the end of the half, but or at the end of the game. But at the end of the day, like, when they missed that field goal, I knew it was over. I knew they were going to lose. I knew I knew as much as my name is Chris that they were going to lose that game, and they did. They lost the game on that series, that possession. And yeah, I do think that when it was 3rd and 3, they should have ran the damn ball. They should have ran the ball twice for a first down and then and then if they do that, the game's over. They win the game, assuming we can make a 20-yard field goal, which is a pretty crazy assumption for this program. But
I don't. I like I was gonna say, I don't think we make a 20-yard field goal.
So I mean, it's just it's just really frustrating that the same things happen. So I don't know. Yeah, Rhule's done some weird things. I mean, with game management, he did weird stuff at the end of the Maryland game last year, at the end of the Wisconsin game last year. He's lucky that those timeouts didn't come back to bite him last night against Illinois. I mean, he was like stopping the clock for Illinois. I'm like, what are you doing here? And he's like, well, and then he said after, he's like, well, the sheet said to take a timeout. Why are you relying on a freaking sheet, man? Do you not know the game? Do you not know when to take a timeout? You're the head coach, okay? Don't look at a damn sheet. Manage the game. You don't call plays. Manage the freaking game, man. Come on.
Although a lot of coaches have trouble calling timeouts, so this isn't a Matt Rhule thing either. Mario Cristobal down in Miami, he's had an awful time calling timeouts as well. So I could see where you put it on a sheet. But what was I going to say? My point was that, I think, you know what? I just lost my train of thought. You can continue, and I'll come back.
I don't have a train of thought. I'm just extremely depressed, and I know people are like ripping me on Facebook, and I just don't care, because I don't think that I'm wrong. Tell me what I've said that's wrong. Have I said that Matt Rhule should be fired? No, I've never suggested that one time. But I do think that he needs to start producing results. And I don't think that he needs any more time. I think that is just, I think that's malarkey. I think that's just totally bogus. That was an excuse last year. That's not an excuse this year. It's not.
I'll give him one more year. Because I do think he still needs time to develop a little bit more. When you look at the overall structure of the program, especially with Ty and Nash and those guys gone next year. But I do
that's
think
the thing. That's the thing. How's this defense going to be better next year?
Well, let's see. We got Malcolm. We got Tyson.
You're losing Butler.
And hopefully they don't play the
Dude, those guys aren't going to be ready. If we're relying on Malcolm Simpson and Ty, and we aren't making.
No, I don't think we're going to solely rely on them. And James Williams is a sophomore, so at least we'll have him back next year. But
he'll be a junior next year, or
So sophomore
right.
this year.
No, you're right. I don't know if he carried over a year from the JUCO. So, but I mean,
I'm trying to think. Yeah,
like the defensive ends, but man, like we got Riley Van Poppel at defensive tackle, and that's it. So like I don't know. And then we're losing our best cornerback. Marcus Buford looks like he should be playing safety. Sorry, but
he's not really impressed me. Sayer Wright impressed me actually.
Yeah, Sayer Wright was good.
And that penalty was absolutely bogus, so I don't blame that on him at all. That was just great coverage, I thought. Did you see the play, or were you?
I did. It was bad. My battery's about to die, so I gotta get.
So should we?
Yeah, we might as well start wrapping up. Yeah, people are probably sick of the complaint fest, anyways. I know that I'm a negative person, but yeah, it's just I'm sick of it. I'm just tired of it. This isn't happening in another year after the same old song and dance.
And yes,
we'll see. I think Nash, Ty, Tommy Hill. I do think Fedoni's a draft pick. Banks, maybe Nair. I mean, close. Yeah, I think maybe close, but they didn't play like it last night for sure. So that's on the.
It's only one game. It's only one game, people. Let's wait till the end of the season before we make judgments. I still have them at 8-4, and I'm sticking to that.
You're right. It is only one game. That's the beautiful thing about football. But this team, they got to start doing it though, and so we'll see if it happens. We'll come back on Monday. We'll review it a little bit more and talk about this, you guys. So thanks again for joining us for another Saturday morning chat. Please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and as always, go Big Red.
Go Big Red.
Knock my microphone over.